Bam! What up, everybody? Welcome to Jam Radio episode 7, if I remember correctly. This is me, and then this floating logo over here is a logo of the company that this man, Chris Seglia, owns. How you doing, Seg?
Good, I guess.
Well, don't sound so fucking happy about it, all right? You know, you
I've
spend
been
all...
sitting here for like a half an hour already.
It's been like 10 minutes, all right?
Oh, God. This is going to be a great show.
Yeah, it is going to be a great show, and I mean it with the deepest part of my heart. God, you're so grumpy all the time. Is this how you always act? Is this what quarantine's got you like, or is this just you all the time?
You answer that question.
It's just you all the time.
Thank you.
Well, in case you guys don't know, this is the person that works on basically all of your favorite fighting game events all the time. Do you want to do maybe like a little summary of what Tenno is or does? Or do you want me to attempt it?
You can attempt it and I'll correct you.
Okay, so Tenno is a production company owned by Chris Seglia, and they produce a bunch of your favorite fighting game tournaments. So they work on stuff like CPT. They've done EVO for like 7 years now or something. This is like the 8th year. It's been a while. They do TWT. They do all kinds of work outside of fighting games too. They've done a bunch of stuff with Nintendo. They do a bunch of stuff with different tours and stuff. So when you watch events, a lot of the time you're watching Tenno Productions, even if you don't realize it. And nowadays you see this little logo over here, but it's usually purple and white. And it's great. We got the custom version for the show. And yeah, it's a giant crew of like collectives from sports and fighting games and other different places that do events.
Yeah, pretty much. That was a good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, you've done this before.
I have. Wow, there wasn't even a lot of correction. I'm pretty impressed.
Can I quote that and put it on our website?
Yeah, sure. You can. As a testimonial.
Right.
The greatest, most handsome podcast guest I've ever had. 9 years of EVO? I thought you guys started in 2013.
Like it was our show in 2013. Tenno is basically a big conglomerate of iplaywinner, rest in peace, which was Hans or Nidell's company that I just kind of helped out with. And then the reason why we're purple is because iplaywinner was blue, and then red was Team Spooky, and is Team Spooky. So we basically joined forces and made it so that it was organized correctly, and now it's kind of just evolved into, you know, if we see you do good work, we usually ask you to be a part of something.
Yeah, you guys collect people from all over the place. Like I feel like every time I show up, there's like a new crew of qualified individuals, and I'm just like, all right. Like there's always just new people, and it's like a lot of the times it'll be people that I recognize that I didn't even realize you guys were working with. But then sometimes it's just like, oh, I don't know who these people are, and then I work with them. I'm like, damn, they're great. So yeah, it's not that surprising to me. I think maybe to start, I wanted to ask a little bit about your background in production and the kind of stuff you did before fighting games. So when, I guess, did you get into fighting games, and what were you doing before that?
So it kind of ties in. I started doing production in high school, really, you know, doing, we had our own TV station, internal TV station in high school, which was pretty crazy. And I just kind of latched into it. It was the only thing that I really cared about at that time. And then, you know, iMovie came out, and I'm old as hell. Right?
iMovie's sick.
So, yeah, we started doing videos, and it just kind of snowballed into doing production in college as well. During college, I got an internship, an unpaid internship, everybody. That
like the show.
Yes, exactly. I'm in intern again. 4 different sports teams in the Bay Area, like the San Francisco Giants and the Golden State Warriors and Stanford Athletics. And I kind of just stuck around until they couldn't get rid of me, because I learned pretty much how to do everything in a control room during my year there, as well as do my job. And yeah, so from there I became a freelancer or an independent contractor to work all these games, you know, work 3 World Series, All-Star Game, you know, basically any big thing that's happened in the Bay Area minus the Super Bowl.
Right.
I've worked. And then one day I was working at Stanford, and one of my roommates at the time, who was really good at Street Fighter 4, he was like, "Hey, I'm going to go to this guy's garage. You play video games. Why don't you check this out?" And lo and behold, it was Keystone.
Okay.
Keystone, back in the day, was the NorCal training hub for Street Fighter and all fighting games. Basically, it was their first stream there, and Nidell or Hans was plugging in a bunch of stuff, and they were Andrea and Derry were commentating, and it was horrible, god awful. And I kind of walked in, I was like, wow, this sucks, but let's just keep doing it. Let's see how it goes, and we'll start introducing things as it goes on. And from there, I just kind of stuck with it. I went to EVO that year in 2011, I believe. Actually, it was probably a couple years after that was EVO for me. But yeah, I just kind of started. I kept going, and I found out really, really fast that I was horrible at Street Fighter. So I just kind of did production and drank in the back with a bunch of Bay Area luminaries.
Yeah, so you came in around that time, and yeah, like you said, I think that was around when people on both coasts and like all over the place were starting to get a little bit more interested in like doing stream stuff, right? Like that was kind of the area where people were like way more hot on YouTube, and then started like stepping into like actually doing live streaming stuff. What was the stream on? Was it Justin TV then, or was it like Ustream or something? Do you even remember?
It was Ustream. The only reason why I remember that is because Derry and Andre, there was an emote back then. That was just a squirrel and a POW symbol, and so that every time they did it, because they were wasted, every time they got on a mic, they didn't know how to do the squirrel emote, so they would scream, "How do you squirrel?" or "How do you POW?" And that's like the only thing that I really remember out of it, because I was pretty wasted too at that time.
Yeah, you know what's funny is somebody in the chat mentioned this, but I don't know how many people don't remember what the streaming platforms were like pre-Twitch. Like when Twitch was JTV and when like Ustream was really popular. Like the first EVO I watched was the EVO they did in 2010, which I think was the Ustream year.
Ustream was, well, it was definitely 2011. That was the first year I was there.
Okay, yeah.
Or I think it might have been Justin in 2010.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't remember. All I remember is it was crazy because I was watching on my phone, and I couldn't believe it in 2010. So
yeah, that is true. But you got in, I guess, around that time, and you were more interested in stuff. You showed up, and everything was bad. You said everything was bad. Like I'm sure the production was bad. Everybody trying to figure out how to commentate and everything was really bad. And I think that's probably important to bring up, because I think a lot of people don't realize that it's always like that in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like as a commentator or anybody doing production and stuff like that, starting from the beginning, the stuff you create from the start will always be not great, probably. You know what I mean? It'll never live up to your expectations. And back then, I guess it was like kind of untrampled ground, right? Like nobody had really sort of thought to themselves, how do we do this correctly? So what was like kind of the transition from, okay, I guess we're gonna fuck around and get drunk and do this thing, to taking the productions a little bit more serious?
The real we started doing tournaments, right? Instead of doing just the Keystone tournament, which was like random select, and you watch John Choi quadruple perfect me on stream kind of thing. We started doing things like NCR, which was a big one, and then we did smaller tournaments like Drumstruction back in the day. Canada used to throw tournaments called Hotocon, and there's just a bunch of things that we wanted to make the brand of iplaywinner great. So we just kind of try to get a little bit more professional as the years go on. As we don't really restrict too much on commentary, and that kind of stems back from the olden days. There's just a lot of no hate involved in commentary, but you can say pretty much whatever you want as far as the game goes.
Yeah,
and that's kind of how it was back then. There's a lot of Ultimate Marvel or Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Vanilla, a lot of Street Fighter 4, a lot of KOF 13, and just being able to do it over and over and over again at a place like Keystone, and then later on at Starbase Arcade. It just kind of, with repetition, anything gets better, or you're not doing it right. And we used to do like VOD sessions and like try to figure out what was cool. And we used to do a lot of little exhibitions, like the first ever Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 show off was at Starbase Arcade, and we did like a pretty big exhibition for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys did a lot of stuff. I remember, especially for Marvel, like in that era, and you guys started producing a lot of stuff that I think was very different and noticeably different from the stuff that people were doing in other places. Right? I think everybody was kind of like making maybe their own stream identities back then. You guys for NCR, I remember, did the funny like character select kind of thing that you guys had on there. And you guys did the redemption video. I think it was the iplaywinner video that you guys did back in like 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of stuff was just, it was so different from everything else. I remember at the time.
Yeah, the redemption video is actually still to this day like my most proud video that I've ever done. I keep trying to redo it, but it just doesn't have the same. They were I work for a sports network that is basically now defunct, but. There was a huge thing of promotion, and I really wanted to do this video, and I just showed them the redemption video again, and they're like, yeah, this is cool, but why are they talking about video games? And I just like, oh no, this is not going to go very well. So
yeah, that's basically the end of the conversation. You're like, never mind. You're like, let's go on to the next thing.
Football nerds don't know anything.
You fucking sports ball nerds with your helmets. Dweebs. Yeah, fair enough. What's it called? I was gonna say on the topic of that kind of stuff that you guys were making back then. When was kind of like the, I guess, switching point from you guys doing those events that were local to you guys, like doing NCR and doing all that kind of other stuff, and then switching to the year that you guys did EVO?
So Haunts did EVO in 2011, and it was great. But me and it was Haunts, Spooky, and then Roger Dodger, who I'm sure no one knows anymore, but he was a big production guy in NorCal in that time, and then Deuce, who is a Florida guy. He helps out with CEO all the time. He's CEO Deuce. Not sure if he still streams for CEO, but he plays all the music for the entrance music for CEO.
Gotcha.
I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
But they were working from 8 a.m. until 7 a.m. because they also had to do a salty suite,
right?
Which is basically how they paid for getting to EVO that year. I'm sure that there was other factors, but that's how they made money. Is how I've heard it. So after the second day, I was drinking, I was having a good time, I was just walking around. I saw Haunts and Spooky, and Haunts looked like he was about to die. Like he was so stressed out about the stream, he didn't get any sleep and whatever. I was like, hey man, what do you need? And I'll help you. And basically from there, I kind of just got into it and helping him out. And then that kind of just spiraled into doing EVO a second year. And then the third year is kind of when Capcom Pro Tour and SF25 started. And, we were just doing consistent work and, better and better work at that point. And we were selected to do the Capcom Pro Tour, and it just kind of, exploded from there.
I see. Yeah. I mean, what was the, I guess there's probably a process, and I don't know exactly when it started in this timeline, but like, when did you guys go from like, okay, we're doing more and more stuff to, oh God, we have to do CPT, we have to do this. Like, when did the crew sort of assemble, and like, how did that come about?
That was probably 2013, 2014. We had like a core crew of a few people. Harrison, who now works for Capcom, Carter kind of came on after a couple years at NCR, and then Spooky obviously helped out with a bunch of different events. But there was an event that we did for NorCal v SoCal called Aftershock, which was Hans's last stream. That was the last one he actually did the boards for iplaywinner. That's kind of when we decided that, like, hey, we should probably take this seriously. We should definitely get a crew together. So Offcast, who was a big SoCal streamer, was helping out with Aftershock, and that kind of was like our core group. And then we just kind of expanded from there.
You know what's interesting is yesterday we were watching on stream the EVO video, the announcement video they did for EVO Online, and there's like a bunch of old clips on there, and there's like the camera pan of like you, Spooky, and Offcast. And I was like, I wonder how many people even recognize this full group of people, and especially back then would have recognized like all of you guys just sitting there. And I like that you brought up that you guys, like, people were stuck there from 8 to 7 or whatever it is, because I don't think people realize how long you guys are just stuck.
Yeah, it's a long time. So now we've that's basically my that was my goal coming in, was not only seeing Hans at EVO,
just like haggard and dead.
I started traveling to tournaments. So I went to final round, and I was like, "Hey, Spooky, do you need anything?" He looked at me. He was like, "What? Like, can you go get matches?" And I was like, "Wait, you're getting your own matches for the stream, and you're commentating, and you're streaming right now? Yeah, I can definitely go handle getting you some matches." And then so we just kind of figured it out from there. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think people realize how much of tournaments, especially even up until recently, but still oftentimes recently, are the Wild West. Like when you say Spooky was getting matches for the stream, running the stream, and doing commentary at once, that's not that unusual for Spooky, right? And it's like, it happens with a lot of things. I think people notice it the most with like commentary, where like just random people come on and kind of do it. But like a lot of the jobs that you would assume tournaments have are just, for a long time were just volunteers, or whoever showed up would just handle it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that year in final round, I tweeted out the bracket for the first time ever, I think, that happened. So people were able to follow along. And that was just for my sake, just to see who was coming up next and to kind of to follow the matches that were going on. But it was crazy back then. It's still crazy for a lot of small streamers. I mean, a lot of people still have to do that. We've just kind of set a barrier of entry for us to get into there, production-wise. Crazy.
It's definitely, I talk about it a lot on my stream, but I would never want to be a TO, and I would also not want to do production, because you guys it's hard to explain to like the people at home on the stream that production shows up. The streams start early, right? Production is there an hour and a half before it even starts, right? And then you guys are there the entire day, you know what I mean? And then you guys aren't leaving until like super late at night. So like a lot of the times when if I'm first in the ballroom for commentary and like last out, I'm there from like, 9:30 if it starts at 10 or whatever to like, I don't know, 10 p.m. or something. But you guys are there even longer than that, and you don't leave. Like you're stuck in the back working the entire day.
Yes, for the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
So for bigger productions, like for EVO, for example, we make sure that we give everybody breaks.
Yeah.
Because, that's fucking insane to do that. So we're trying to make sure that everyone has some sort of break, even though if it's just like a walk away period for like an hour or so. A lot of streamers who, like Spooky, like a C-Not from Florida, like a Funky P, they're not used to getting breaks, so they don't like it.
Right.
But so we still try to force them off the sticks to at least just get a mental break.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But I used to be at EVO 5 a.m. I used to get coffee for IE Battlegrounds, aka our Mondo, who was doing one of the streams, and he would say that he would beat me to the ballroom. I said, "There's no one beating me this ballroom." 5 a.m. until I think one year it was 2 a.m. Whenever it ended, and then we still have to clean up afterwards.
Yeah, you guys are doing cleanup and wrapping all the cables and like taking all the equipment and all that kind of stuff. Production is rough. And somebody in the chat mentioned that they said like, I wonder how many things happen at an event that are production issues that the chat room never sees. It's hard to explain how many.
Yeah, so that was my barrier. That was my role. That is my role. That's Hanzo's role for the most part now. But my role is to, there are fires happening all the fucking time. Like like it's weird when there's not a fire going on.
Yeah.
So we basically have, different levels of escalation. And we kind of built this around Spooky, essentially. So, Spooky is normally the director. He's usually the guy who's pushing the buttons. Nowadays, it's different people, but back then, this is how it was.
Mm-hmm.
Spooky's pushing the buttons. If you talk to Spooky while he's pushing the buttons, there's probably gonna, I wouldn't say probably, but there's a higher chance of him screwing something up, right?
Right.
Him cutting to the wrong camera, or names are wrong, or
Sure, yeah.
audio's off, or something like that. So my big thing was I sat down next to him, or put someone sitting down next to him, so I could tell him or her the information that I need to speak to Spooky with. So that way, Spooky's only talking to one person this entire time.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Then what I do is I roam around and walk around and make sure that players are happy, which they are or not. Depends on the player.
Yeah.
That the tournament organizer's happy and the tournament's running okay. Because first and foremost, this is a tournament. This is not a show. This is a tournament. And a lot of people forget that part, but we have nothing to do with the tournament more times than not. But we just want to make sure that we're running on schedule and things like that. And then nowadays is mostly like clients, like sponsors or developers or things like that they're happy with how their game is being presented to the world. And that is doesn't sound like a lot, but when there's usually 40 different things drop all at the same time.
Yes.
Usually 3 minutes before the broadcast starts. I have a lot of gray hair now because of it. So.
Yeah, you guys have such a stressful. The thing is like I talked about it on stream. There's a lot of different things that just happen that people will never see, and it's like so stressful and wild, and like I never have to deal with it. It's not my job, but like I just recall like when Canada Cup had that like big issue that year where like the timing issue happened and they like couldn't run anything. I just remember walking into the ballroom. Like I was standing in a circle when I found out about that information, and I was just like Homer Simpson, like the gif of him like sinking into like the trees and like just going away. That was me, because I was like, all right, there's gonna be a fucking disaster right now, and it's not my responsibility to deal with it. And it's like 10 people are gonna be incredibly stressed out and frustrated, and it's not gonna be me. And I just like watch like this disaster go on, and like that's your guys' job. Like every event, you're like, hey guys, it turns out the building's on fire, and Hanzo's like, excuse me, and like he runs out there with a hose. Like you guys have such a wild job to try to describe to people, and most of the time those kinds of issues are never seen to people on stream, and even a lot of the times those issues are never seen to the people who are in the venue.
Yeah, that Canada Cup, it was my birthday, so I wasn't there, thankfully, but Honzo, I think, is still stressed out about it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I got that phone call, I was a little inebriated, and I basically had to coordinate on my birthday, inebriated, what the hell was about to happen. So good times.
Honzo said he almost got deported.
I still don't think he's allowed in Canada.
I believe it. I'll tell people this a lot. I don't think people believe me when I say it. I can't think of a better like person to stop people from coming and bothering people backstage than Honzo. Because although he is small in stature, he just gets up in people's faces and he doesn't care. He's like, hey, this is my area. Go the fuck away. Get out of here. You're not supposed to be here. Hey, like he always just runs up to people and yells at them. And like he's the best deterrent for people coming in because he's just so feisty,
Honzo's first tournament ever being what we call an AD, he witnessed me almost get into a fight because of that happened. So I think that I inspire that to him just a little bit.
You got to tell them. You got to tell these motherfuckers to get the fuck out of the pit. People come, like, they try to roam backstage like they can just come there. And you're like, no, go away. You don't belong here.
Yeah, it was a good time.
At Canada, I do remember Honzo getting really feisty. And I remember him yelling at a bunch of people backstage. And I just remember, from a distance, I could just see his arms flailing around. And I knew there was a real bad disaster.
Yeah, there's like levels of Honzo. He's like calm. So he's got his hands just like regular. Then he gets a little frustrated and he puts them down to his sides with his elbows out, kind of thing. And then he gets very frustrated, and then he starts flailing his arms. It's a very big tell for Honzo.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but the thing is that's like part of the job, right? Like you guys got to handle that. And I mean, you guys have to deal with these fires all the time, and like people don't, like I said, just people don't realize just how large they are, and not only that, but like how stressful it is for your guys' position to deal with that kind of shit, because there a lot of the times this stuff is just unprecedented, and like you said, the tournament, although the tournament's happening, right, it's not your guys' tournament to run. But if the tournament is having issues, that's on you guys. If the stream is having issues, like, you guys, kind of have to figure that out. If like there's an issue with the venue, or like something's happening, like, you guys have to figure it out. If a player is missing, like, it all kind of comes back to you guys in a lot of ways to make sure that it doesn't end up falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, we're very passionate about, especially the fighting community, but just competitive video games in general. And we want to make sure that it's a good show. So, even if it's not our problem, it is our problem, right? We want to make sure that it's as good a show as possible, and we try to hire within the community for that reason, because we want everybody to care.
Yeah, I think that's I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, you can tell in the kind of work that people do that when they're interested in the thing that they love, they're going to do it better. It's just like an automatic. But I was going to say, what was the switch like? So you talked a little bit about how you guys started doing CBT stuff. What was the switch up from going from doing stuff regularly to going to tours, and then I guess by extension doing some of the larger and more international events, right? So you guys were doing EVO for a little bit and some other events, and then the CPT sprung up, and then obviously TWT and DBFZ, a lot of the tour stuff that you guys were working on, Soul Calibur, like tons of different stuff. You guys were working on EVO. You guys had EVO Japan. Like, what was the switch to doing a lot of the international and tour events around then?
Well, to be honest with you, I quit my job at that
sports job,
sports network. I still do sports every once in a while. Like, not anymore, but I still average about 35 games a year doing sports. But I quit my full-time job to do this full-time, and we basically only had CPT going, and it was my goal to expand our roster. So not only could we do CPT, but we could do other local events or smaller events and still have the same high production quality. And from there, it just kind of spun into, well, Tekken's doing a tour, guys. Hey, NRS is doing a tour for Injustice. Like, can you handle that? I'm like, well, look, we've expanded our roster. We've created a lot of redundancy. We could probably do that again. So it just kind of built up, and then in a way, we were just always prepping for EVO, because there's basically 8. Well, now there's 9 streams going.
Yeah.
Last year at once, and we want them all to be at least the same level of base quality. And can all the tours handle that as well, like that same level of base quality? And if not, then we're going to find somebody else to deliver that.
Yeah, so you guys had to build up those teams not only just for all those tours and stuff, but EVO, because EVO is like every team that you usually send out on a weekend. So you're like, all right, one team goes here for this tour, one team goes here, one team goes there. It's like, all right, we have 9 teams at one place doing EVO right now, like all together in one spot.
Yeah.
That is I don't know how you guys like, operationally at EVO, it's like, it just seems like such a wild ride, because even for me, like when I'm like trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go at EVO, there's so many streams and I'm like running around and stuff. It seems like such a big show and big production that I'm like, I don't even know how this gets done. I can't even imagine making the schedule or getting everything done or anything like that. I'm just like, yeah, all right, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, so our core group of people in 10-0 is myself, Carter, Honzogonzo, Spencer, the Wizard, Chung, and Gordon. He's the biggest Street Fighter troll of all time. That's basically our core. We have Mark Mann, who helps out as well on our biz dev side, and like a bunch of freelancers. Like, a bunch is understating, right?
Yeah.
But Carter, Spencer, and Gordon help shoulder a lot of that load to where Thursday, Friday, Saturday of EVO is not my show anymore. That is Carter's show. Carter coordinates everything that goes on in the ballroom, or the convention center now, I guess, of EVO, making sure all the streams are right, all the commentators are correctly scheduled, all that jazz. He's in charge of all that. Then he has people helping him out with that. But basically, my job is to make sure that Sunday goes okay.
Yeah.
Because when we moved to 2 different venues, with the arena, it just didn't make sense for me to keep bouncing back and forth. As we saw the first year of ESPN, it was just incredibly too stressful for me, and I handle stress pretty well. I feel like Carter will tell you otherwise, but yeah. So I basically only do Sunday, and Carter handles Saturdays or Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the move like? You know, fighting games, I guess, especially more recently in the last like 4 years or so, I've done a lot of TV gigs. What's the balance like when you go from doing the regular production to then adding in suddenly a random TV crew on Sunday to do like a production alongside your guys' stuff, where now you guys are creating it, or they're following, or you're following, or like, you know, all this like new stuff has to be happening. That's like almost a completely different show and feel for the like one day of the event.
So I've been pretty lucky in that, is that in EVO, which is 2 of the times that we've done TV for that, I was able to hire all my crew from the Bay Area to come to Vegas for the most part. So everybody who worked on EVO that first year and partly that second year were people that I was training essentially to know what video game production is for the last 5 years or so. So it was a very, very smooth transition. It was a lot of headaches for me personally, because I had to explain to people who knew nothing about fighting games and translate that to not only stream language, which is a much different nomenclature than what TV language is.
Right.
And so basically for that Sunday, I was standing in one spot the entire time, literally one spot.
Dual wielding headphones?
Dual wielding headphones. And whenever somebody needed something, they had to come to my spot, because if somebody else needed something, I couldn't move.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So
I remember you standing there, like seeing you Sunday, because I was up top, because it was at the top of Mandalay Bay that year. I remember seeing, you guys don't understand what Seg looked like. He had ear cups planted on both of his ears, and he was like listening to both broadcasts at the same time and like yelling at people in both directions.
Yeah, 2 different microphones too.
Yeah, right. And he had the microphones from the headsets like around his neck. So he like, it was hard to describe what kind of human he even looked like, sitting there with headphones everywhere and like microphones and just yell. Like, it was just like such a, I don't even think I said anything to you all day. I think I just like, I saw you and I was like, there's no point. So like, I just like remember walking over and like going to like that commentary area and being like, well, all right, good luck. Because that's one of those things where I just see it and I'm like, there's not, like, you know, it's like full, too much shit going on. Don't even want to get involved.
Yeah, I mean, but that's kind of why we hired the best commentators possible for that kind of thing, is because we know you're going to do such a good job that I don't have to worry about anything that you're doing. For the most part, I don't even listen to commentary during EVO because I can't. But that's why we hire the best, and not, you know, try to force anything or anything like that. We just hire the best, and then that's just one less thing I have to worry about.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to ask you about too. For a long time, you've done the EVO hiring for commentary and stuff. And so when people ask me, hey, how do I commentate at EVO? I tell them, hey, you just have to do exactly what I do, which is create a reel, send it to EVO. They make their selections. So what is kind of like the process? I guess it hasn't been as much in the recent. I don't know if you're still the one doing it in the most recent years. Are you still the one looking over the reels? But if you aren't, like, what was the process like before?
So Wiz and Mr. Wizard, excuse me, Joey, and the EVO team has final say for everything. I give them suggestions and all that. So yeah, so I don't have final say for anything, but the process usually goes: you send in a reel.
Yeah.
We go through and see if you've done a reel, pretty much. Like there are a lot of people just try to sneak in like a photo of themselves, or, you know, just some bullshit that is not a reel,
right,
in there, and we throw it out immediately. Like you didn't even try, so we're not even going to look at it. Then we go through quality. I don't personally do that. I have people who are in tune with each of the games to kind of filter that out. And then we, as a group, essentially go through a bunch of different, a bunch of them, and try to pick out who the best of the best are.
Right.
And what people don't know is that it is all schedule based too. Is that I try not to give people one block of commentary. I try to give them at least a couple.
Right.
And in order to do that, there's only so many hours of the day. So we have to figure out what the schedule is for EVO first. And for them, like last year or 2 years ago, I forget, whenever they announced 8 a.m. pools weren't a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Was that last year?
Yeah, I think so.
So the whole fucking schedule changed.
Yeah.
Like the week before. So we were like, okay, well.
It's, what's funny about that is like, it's hard to explain to people when EVO season is coming up and people are asking, hey, are you going to do EVO? Hey, what's the plan for EVO? Like, nobody knows. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where like none of us even know what the hell is going to happen, like who's going to be there, like what the schedule is going to be. It's like trying to figure out all of that is like such a monumental task that like we all just sort of wait for it to happen, and until then nobody knows what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like even if you say a week before the event, the schedule just dramatically changes. Like how am I supposed to know what's going on if like EVO is like constantly morphing and changing and stuff like that at the last second? It's such a big show with 9 streams coming from everywhere that it's like none of us even ever really know.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's fun though. Wouldn't change it. Well, I'd change some things, but
I was gonna say, is it fun? Like it just seems so stressful.
So being a freelancer, as you know, I wouldn't do it unless it was fun.
It's true.
EVO also helps. They pay for any labor that's done at EVO, especially now with all the bracket runners getting paid. They pay for all labor that's done, and that's pretty rare for a tournament.
Definitely.
And we want to make sure that it's the best thing done. So we make it as fun as we can, but sometimes it is pretty stressful.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's like hard not to be, right? Like it's just so many moving parts that getting them all together in the right kind of way is like a monumental task, But yeah, I was gonna say you guys have done a lot of international events too. Has there been any issues or like wild stuff trying to like move internationally large bodies of people, like stuff like EVO Japan? And you guys have done stuff all over the world now, I guess too, right? You guys have done a bunch of European events and events in South America. Like you guys have gone everywhere.
To be honest with you, we usually bring the A team out for those events, so it's pretty smooth sailing, and people for the most part have been a part of our crews, and so there's not too many. They just know the drill, right?
Right. Yeah.
So not too many things go wrong. There are obviously things that go wrong, but nothing monumental yet. Sometimes the biggest difference is trying to explain to people how tournaments work in the U.S. and NA, I guess,
right,
versus how they should, or versus how they run it in a place like Japan or in France or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of tournament organizers who do a very good job, like Flo in the mix-up, and Mark Denton for EGX, and there's just a bunch of different guys who do it right. But a lot of people have said that American tournaments are actually run very well, and in order to achieve that, we have to be like the bearer of bad news to the foreign tournaments sometimes. Like, hey, you could really do this better, and sometimes it escalates to me being nice like that to not very nice.
Yeah, you got to put your foot down sometime. I mean, especially when it's your stream or your schedule, or you have like obligations to a tour or something, which is why you guys are out there and you're like, guys, this is kind of how this has to go.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like you guys have to look out not only for the stream and making sure that it's right, but also all the people working on it and everything. So like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me why it's like that. I saw a lot of people asking questions about like, getting into EVO, and you mentioned sending in reels and stuff. What about people who are interested in production? Because I'm guessing, you said you hire from the community and people from all over the place get in. What's your advice for people who are like, interested in doing production work? They like, doing camera work or ADing or like, directing streams or whatever like that, and they're interested in doing more work.
There are a few different criteria that we need for 10-0, at least for you to work with us.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is you have to be a part of the community. Whatever community that is, it could be StarCraft, it could be fighting community. It could be a sector of the fighting community, like a Smash player or something like that. And you have to be passionate about it, because there's a lot of times when I go, oh, we're about to do a Magic the Gathering tournament. I've never played Magic the Gathering before. Who has played Magic the Gathering on our crew? And then Spooky or somebody raises their hand, like, I've definitely played it.
Right.
And then they're in there. The second thing is you can't be an idiot. I know that's like a really, really, really broad thing to say.
Sure.
But being an idiot is like, it's a really, really big barrier of entry, and not a lot of people are not idiots.
Okay.
So that definitely will help you if you can prove that you're either self-starting, you don't like a buffoon in front of a client, or you're capable at your job. Because to be honest with you, a lot of the things that we do is not rocket science.
Right.
I can personally train you. If I can train Honzogonzo how to sit in a chair for an hour, not screaming at people or yelling and complaining about Marvel in any shape or form, I can train anybody.
I mean, you taught me how to use a replay machine in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. You hit this button here, you
just pull this lever down, you wheel this little thing. Yeah.
And then it just kind of spirals from there. Doing well. Like, we picked Spencer out of a local in San Francisco. Like, hey, you do good work, man.
You struck gold. I don't know how you found that guy.
I was drunk. That was pretty much it.
Sure.
Actually, Honzo found Spencer, and then I followed up. But yeah, we try to treat people as just as possible. So giving that respect and getting that respect back is a big thing. And just doing good work after that, and somebody will notice you. And if your voice is not being heard, there's two problems. One, there's you're either not doing as good as you think you are, and that just sometimes it happens. So you have to just keep getting better. And we're still evolving to this day. And then second, it's a shitty saying, but it's who you know too. Like, Sajam, if you tell me that Tan Man is a really good producer, right? Or he clicks buttons very well. I'm gonna lean towards what you say versus Sniper 360 420 69 out there, and like, hey man, I'm really good at this. Can you please?
That guy can't even watch
me?
Be Long, bro. I just need him to watch Be Long, and he can't even hold it. So you can't trust that guy.
The amount I don't even want to talk about it.
I didn't even know you were playing Valorant. We should probably play.
I'm not good at Valorant, but it's probably the first shooter since back in my day as a pro SOCOM 2 player. I'm excited about.
Mm-hmm. I rolled my eyes in case you didn't know.
Yeah, I figured.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's honestly, it's solid advice. You can't go wrong. I got a question. Let me scroll up to read this correctly. I heard this is going to get someone banned, but Maximilian dude asks, can Seg confirm that Larger Than Life is the best BSB song? Thanks.
Max, I have a lot of videos of you too, so I'd watch your mouth.
Oh, shit.
Hi, Max. How are you?
You all right there?
Yes, but Backstreet Boys, Larger Than Life, that's their best song.
Okay. You're just making sure. That was terrifying. I got to say, you should really do some voice work. Have you ever thought about it?
I do all of my business calls over the phone because I have a face for radio. So.
I see. I mean, you have a voice for radio.
And a face.
And a face for radio. I know you're the first guest that I've done where there was no no video. Gerald didn't want to do video actually, but he was like, you know what? I'm gonna brave my fear and try to do it because he's been trying to do some commentary.
Gerald is great and he does public things. I don't do anything public, so I would rather be threatening.
Yeah, it's probably better that way for everybody.
Also, I really, really like that everyone stops you and all the commentators to talk during a tournament, and I just usually have like a phone or a piece of paper or something, and I can just walk right through.
Yeah, you just
And
keep
like,
on
all right,
walking.
guys, see you later.
You know, that is very true. There is sort of an expectation of people who are on camera, so we all hang out and stuff. Yeah, Seglia definitely operates covertly. Meanwhile, in the last like 2 days, both days I played Valorant, I've had people say, "Oh my god, are you Sajam?" in like multiple matches. And I'm just like, you know what? All right, I have to do very well this game. There's a lot of pressure on the line here. I was like, if I just die over and over, I'm gonna be pissed. So it's too
Yeah,
much.
I actually changed my summoner name so I could rage on people. Because if I kept chrisceg on there, then people might like tweet me. But now with my new name, no one knows who I am, and they think I have a voice mod on.
Jesus. Yeah, they definitely do. If you came on if I was playing Valorant and you're like, there's one showers, I don't know what I would do. I'd be like, oh God. And I would run immediately to where you told me to run. I'd be terrified.
Usually I'm in a stack of people, and they're in a 1v1 or something like that because I die 1st. I average like 20 and 20 or 15 and 15. I die as much as I kill. But
Sure.
anyway,
Yeah. You're 1-for-1 guy. You're trading.
yeah, I'm a entry frag.
Okay.
They're usually in a very clutch situation. They need to like focus on something. It's like someone's like, "Hey man, don't plant the bomb there." You make sure you use your abilities to zone them out. And I'm just like, this is the first time I talk on team chat. I go, stop micromanaging them, and then they either stop and don't say anything, or they're just like, "Whoa, dude, okay, I'm sorry."
Stop micromanaging him is a very production thing of you to say. Like, don't let him just handle it. You know what I mean? That's like a very production sentence for you to tell somebody.
I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, you know what? To be honest with you, that's very our production way of doing it. In TV, in other streams that I've been a part of, they micromanage the shit out of everything.
Yeah.
We try to let the skill shine through, and if you're not good enough, then we just don't call you.
I've noticed that. I've worked with TV a lot, and I've done other stuff with you guys. And yeah, the difference in how much everything is planned and scripted, and they get and talk to you about stuff is so incredibly different than general TV stuff that I've done. I've explained it to the stream before, but like when I did TV, it was, all right, we're going to a break in 15, 14, 13, hit the mark, 9, 8, and they like counted me down from 15 into a break.
Yeah, when I started directing, I got rid of that. I said, just give me a 30 count, give me a 10, and just say we had 30 left.
Yeah,
we have 10 seconds left, and then if I don't get out by 5 seconds, start counting me down from 5.
Yeah,
then that means that there's something going on. But if you start saying 28, 27, I was like, I'm just gonna throw shit at you.
That's what we're doing. They're counting down from like 15 or something, and not only that, but like as you're talking, you're like, yeah, so this cool thing's gonna happen, and they're like, all right, you're gonna hit this, and then you're gonna go to this part, and then you're gonna go to that part, and then you're gonna get out of there in 5, and it's just like constantly, there's like a constant hum, and you sort of get used to it. But yeah, in your guys' production, especially like if Spencer comes in my ear, it's like way different than anything else, and it's like much less of that noise. And I noticed that with the production overall too. You guys are kind of so used to the flow that you're doing and the kind of show that you're making that it doesn't come up nearly as often.
Well, yeah, not all shows are the same, but we just try to be. That's just the level of what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to let people do their work. We're trying to, especially commentators. If there's a lot of things happen when we talk to you guys, and then you just stop. Not necessarily you in particular.
Oh man,
commentators will just stop and just like, okay, no, you should just we're literally in the middle of a sentence. Just keep going. But so we try to let people do what they're doing, and then unless there's something really wrong or we really need to tell you something, then we'll cut
that is like the sign to me of a commentator who's not experienced of working with crews that talk a lot, or like more experienced crews in general, is you'll have a commentator and I'll be working with them at like some big show, and they'll be like, hey everybody, that match was really sick. We saw it sounds like we're going to go to an interview down on the stage. I'm like, oh no. It's like, you know what I mean? They can't, like, their brain, as soon as they hear talking, they just think like, oh, I should stop talking and listen to whatever this person's saying backstage, and that's something that is like, yeah, you really have to be trained out of that for sure.
Yeah, you have to be trained out of it. But even if like seasoned commentators are, it's hard for them to do that, but that's why we put the production secret, everyone. We put a notepad in front of you guys to basically tell you what the run of show is.
Yeah.
And, hopefully you get the hint after we highlight it. And
yeah, people are, their mouse cursor is highlighting it vigorously.
Yeah.
And in the corner of my eye, I just see this blue flash. I'm like, okay, I should probably say that.
Yeah. So, so we instead of giving you guys like a teleprompter with what TV does and some esports do, we kind of just let you guys rock.
Yeah, that's why it's also important to work with people who, like, once they get used to your guys' flow and they're used to it, they're getting the job done, right? I mean, I assume, especially now, you guys don't work with a lot of people who you haven't worked with before. Like, you guys have done so many events that it's probably pretty rare. There's not troublesome people sprouting up who are like, ugh, this 10-0 way sucks. I hate you guys. So,
well, even with new commentators and new people, it's very, very rare for us to get criticism, like actual criticism, for our way of doing things, which is pretty cool. I think that my big thing is workflow in chain of command and things like that. So that's pretty nice to hear.
If you ever get criticism, it'd be from me. I'd be talking shit.
Yeah, you talk shit a lot.
Yeah, but, I'd be like, guys, what's going on over here?
Well, so like, I guess criticism during a show, like if something fucks up, right? Then that's way different than like, hey, your overall way of doing this is incorrect.
Yeah, for sure.
And most new commentators come up to me after EVO, because that's usually when we have the most commentators that haven't worked with us. And we're like, that notepad thing is fucking genius. I don't understand why no one does that.
I don't either. To be honest, it's so hard for me to do stuff where we don't have preview or where there's no notepad there, because it's just such, like, it's, first of all, super useful, and second of all, makes the entire experience so much easier when you have an idea about what the fuck is going to happen next, and you're not just like, all right, so we got our matchup here and there's a bracket. You know what I mean? It's like you don't ever have an idea of what you're going to. You're just sort of constantly like, I think the normal flow of this should be another match and then another. It's like such a simple thing and so useful. Someone guessed that Aris would be somebody who's gonna be mouthy or whatever, but yeah, people have already said that's definitely the opposite. Aris is always there. He's always super nice to everybody, says hi to everybody in and out. That's like, I've never seen him be grumpy around people usually. You're
pretty good. Whereas Steve is on the other level, like he doesn't show up on time ever, right?
Yes.
Aris is always punctual.
Yes.
He's always on time.
Yes.
And you know what? He usually has some actual criticism like that makes sense after. It's like, hey man, it would be really cool if we had X instead of Y.
Yeah.
And here's why. I'm like, well, I never thought of that. Or I go, well, you shouldn't think of it that way. It's because of this reason.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, that makes sense. I'll keep that in mind for next time.
Yeah. He's very, his view is usually pretty solid on stuff when you chat with him about things. I think people think because he's rude to stream monsters, he's going to be rude in person, but he's only rude to stream monsters because they're being idiots. Working functional human beings, he's just like, hey, this is what should happen. You're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but Aris is very, very nice.
Yeah, when we talk about Steve being late, it's not a joke. This guy Steve is just never on time. There's no amount of we can't even like bully him into being on time, because I don't know how many times you and I and lots of other people have been like, Steve will just never show up on time, and he just doesn't.
He's gotten way better. Yeah. There are other offenders. Are any of them here? Let me read. No one. Well, maybe one of them's here. Who don't show up on time, and he's gotten way worse. It's more of a expectation now that he's late.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Ringe. How are you?
Is Ringe is not on time?
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, but there's a normal commentator who's just as late, if not worse.
Yeah, there's a few. I feel like most people are usually there on time. Yeah, when you say Funky P says he's usually at least 10 seconds before we cut the commentators, dude, Steve sometimes will be flying into the booth while they're counting it. They'll be like, in 10, and Steve like runs over and like sits down and like puts on the headset or whatever. Like, he just has so much energy.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Why do you guys take off the headset during the break?
I take off the headset during the break because while wearing it, you can usually hear all the chatter. And if I'm trying to think about like, usually if I'm on a break, I'm looking at Twitter for updates or looking at brackets and stuff. So if I want to like sit and think, it's better to not have the headset on and listen to like the game audio or like whatever's in my ears. I like just like, sitting there and thinking when it's quieter. But I usually try to put it on, like, when there's like a countdown timer, if there's like 2 minutes left, I usually try to put the headset back on.
So usually that chatter is for you.
Not always.
Because we can control what's going on. I agree, not always. But
it's always you do underestimate Spencer. Spencer's over there talking about...
Spencer and Callisto are the worst.
I know. They're so bad. I yelled at Callisto very loudly at first attack. Yeah.
Literally, the first time Callisto did a CPT event, he left his mic on.
Mm-hmm.
And I like grabbed him. I said, "Don't ever do that again." And
well,
he said
it didn't
was
work.
The scariest moment that he's ever had. Well, it worked for like a year, and then he stopped being scared of me, and that's why I do everything over the phone.
Yeah, it was. It was the conversation happening was just so absurd. Like, it's like we're in the middle of like a top 8, and I'm like, oh my god, it's such a tense moment. And in my ear, all I hear is, so there I was, drunk in the bathroom, thought I was gonna die, and just like happening in the background of my mind. And I'm just like, oh my god, Callisto. That and Funky P brings up the Sam Show incident. I can't even speak that into light. That is too powerful. It's one of my favorite things I've ever heard, but I can't tell the story, unfortunately.
I wasn't there for that. Thank God. I was there for that, but there was other stuff going on.
Yeah, we were too worried. We were too worried about the first cases of COVID being in Japan and all kinds of other stuff. There's too much going on.
Yeah.
Man, you're a professional podcaster. Have you thought about doing more podcasts?
I have.
You should do some more. We did one together a long time ago at Wizard World.
We did. Can't patch this. I just remembered the name yesterday.
That was the name?
What? No, that was one of them. We used to do a lot of podcasts back in our Dragon Lounge days. If you don't know what Dragon Lounge is, don't look it up.
I've never heard of that in my life.
Perfect. That's how CPT spawned, actually, was us being drunk at a bar.
Yeah. I've noticed everybody who does production is always drunk.
Yeah, you need it, man. Or else... Yeah.
Is that like the only way you guys can survive? I've realized that every story about production I've ever heard, you guys are always drunk.
So a lot of production is done by people of youth.
Okay.
So, they can drink more. I don't drink that much anymore. And the only time I do is when I travel.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God for that. Right now, I needed a break. But yeah, production's stressful, man, and you need it's very quick rising, so you need something that quickly takes it away.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want people to do drugs on our productions or in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So usually they go to the hotel bar or something like that.
That makes sense. Yeah. It just cracks me up because like when it's all over, I just see everybody like tucked into the corner, like real drunk, like, oh God, today was a day. It just cracks me up.
Yeah, Being Free was the name of my podcast. And then we also did Can't Patch This a while ago.
Oh, okay.
But we're planning on doing a lot more podcasts soon.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that. This year, obviously, nobody can go anywhere. You guys are a traveling production company. What's been the plan of attack for this year since you guys can't go anywhere? And like, what is some of the upcoming stuff that Tenno has planned?
So over the last year, we've expanded into partnerships in Europe and in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
With Visual Platform. They're doing a tournament right now on twitch.tv/Tenno Media, which none of you are watching.
I had it in a tab right now, actually.
I'm at the chat. But but yeah, so we're trying to do our own things. We're going to be creating more content, probably more podcasts and more things like that. But yeah, so that's our plan of attack for Tenno, and then we still are doing a lot of remote streams. Like what you did for us, which was Extra Life for Kids. We've done a lot of remote things. And Bud Light Friday Throwdown. which is Soul Calibur. We'll be doing that tonight and every Friday for a while, and then we're going to go to different games and things like that.
Cool.
Other companies have hit us up to do online things for them, and it's kind of, we do a lot of white label things, so it's pretty much in our wheelhouse, and we've been doing online pretty well, I feel like.
Yeah. You guys have a nice online, as a commentator, your guys' online setup is great. I think the stuff that we did when we were doing Geico was really cool, and like, yeah, the online setup is pretty, and like Extra Life too, obviously, was pretty easy online. You guys have a good setup for online stuff, so I'm not surprised you guys are doing more online events, which is like, what everybody has to do. And if you're like a player, you have to switch to playing in online events. If you're a commentator, you have to commentate online events. If you're a production company, you gotta stream online events.
We're trying to make it as seamless as possible for you guys, the commentators, because you're the front-facing people of our clients and of us usually. So
yeah,
we try to make it as easy as possible. And yeah, I don't know. Do a lot of people replicate what we do? I don't even know. This is just, we kind of like theorized it from like way back when, like what would be the easiest thing possible for these guys?
Not exactly, no. Yeah, most of the time it's similar, but not quite as good is the way I would describe it. There's like a few things that you guys do that people haven't caught on to yet. Especially like one thing that fighting game streams everywhere don't do enough is talk back, to not only having us being able to talk back, but producers being able to talk to, or directors being able to talk to stream commentators and stuff too. And having that for online stuff is super useful, to be honest. That, and also you guys, I mean, we don't, generally you guys use Notepad for offline, and in this you just type in whatever program we're using and just say, hey, this is what's happening. So that's really useful too. But there's like a few other things that you guys do that other people don't do usually.
Cool.
Online events are tough. They're definitely tough to do for a lot of reasons as a commentator. I think they're much harder than doing offline events.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get into, like just, how everybody's been with quarantine and things. It's tough to get motivated sometimes, and that's while you're doing something, it's tough to kind of lock into that. So
a lot of commentary is, the energy of the room and like the moment and stuff like that. And without having that, just being stuck in your room, it's like, it's like a very different kind of feeling. So yeah, it definitely takes some, you have to kind of be used to it. I think you have to have done other online events to really prepare yourself for it, for sure.
Yeah, or else you're going to be on your phone commentating or something like that.
Yeah,
or while you're on a podcast, play Valorant like no one's doing right now.
Yeah, I'm sure. I figured you'd be doing either TFT or Valorant or Civ.
I haven't played TFT for this season. I'm not playing Valorant right now, and I only play Civ with a group of friends, or there's a lot of translation happening.
Yeah, when you told me your strategy for international meetings and playing Civ, I thought that was genius.
Yeah, because, to translate something in a different language usually takes about 5 minutes, and then they translate it back to me, and I just go, yes, that is correct. And then I don't speak for another 15 minutes. It's pretty normal.
That sounds like how it's the way to get everything done. You're just like, and then you wait. And you just have to wait for the next thing. It's pretty funny. All right, well, I don't want to keep you too much longer over time. Where can people find the cool shit you guys are going to do soon? And where's the best place to find you if people want to go follow you?
Check out Tenno Media on Twitch and on, where the hell are we? I don't even know where our thing is. It's Twitch, Twitter, and I think Facebook now. Twitch.tv/Tenno Media. Thank you, Tan Man. You can find me on Twitter, but don't follow me. I'm an idiot. At chrisceg. And then we also are doing just a bunch of stuff. We'll let you know. Combo Breaker retrospective is in a couple of weeks.
It sure is. So. I can't wait for that. I'm excited. Well, I'm happy you didn't know where any of your Twitter or Twitch or social media accounts were.
We don't do any promotion, and that's like even promotion of like the business. Like it's very rare that I do promotion of the business, which is crazy. And it's a little arrogant, but we do everything is word of mouth.
Word of mouth, yeah.
And it's because my guys do a very good job, and I thank them for that. And because of that, we haven't really needed to do any outwardly marketing or anything like that. Our website's not even up yet. Like, we had one up, and then it went down, and so our European guys are handling that. But yeah,
Must be nice. Just exist, and you guys get hired for everything. That's pretty cool.
just do good work, man. That's all we want to do.
Nice work. Well, thanks for coming on and saying what's good. If you guys missed any or all of this, you can find it later on YouTube and Spotify and other podcasting places. Thanks for coming on, Seg. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You know what the fee is for me being on here, right?
Yeah, I got you. I got it covered.
Yeah, it's drinks for my entire crew.
Sure, yeah, no problem.
Great. Just
All
making
right.
sure you know.
Yep, I just lost $1,000, chat room. Well, shit.